And now, episode 6 of Strange New Worlds. One of the best things about Star Trek Strange New Worlds is the way that it completely blows apart the idea that week-to-week episodic television can't be as deep or nuanced or emotionally impactful as more serialized stories with season-long arcs. In fact, I'd argue that even though Strange New Worlds has self-contained adventures that take place in each episode, it is also telling plenty of meaningful long-term character stories at the same time. The biggest and most obvious is the fate of Captain Pike, whose radiation disfigurement and paralysis won't even occur for another decade, but still colors his day-to-day life thanks to the vision he saw of his own future. Deciding who he'll be in the face of that foreknowledge is now essential. Pike's life work in Strange New Worlds will have to figure out how to tell stories about his character that reflect that inner struggle without getting either repetitive or overly saccharine about it. Lift Us Where Suffering Cannot Reach is the first predominantly Pike-focused episode since the series pilot, and is an hour that sees the captain not only truly fail for the first time, but face a serious and shocking betrayal from someone he clearly once cared deeply for. The hour also deftly reinforces why Pike is always going to be doomed, and reminds us as viewers why we shouldn't wish him otherwise. Because even if Pike's future somehow isn't written in stone, it is irrevocably tied to who he is, and a man he will never put his own life ahead of those in his care. This episode sees the Enterprise on a cartography mission to the Magellan system, a star cluster on the edge of Federation space that Pike himself once visited a decade earlier as part of a rescue attempt. But when the crew answers a distress call from a Magellan ship under attack, he's reunited with an old flame, and his crew finds themselves charged with protecting an important child from a kidnapping plot. Though the alien race was offered Federation membership, they declined it, preferring to keep their own customs and ways private. Alora, now a Magellan leader in her own right, oversees a being known as the First Servant, a holy child chosen by lottery to embody the maxim of their people: science, service, sacrifice. Though no one is ever too specific about what exactly any of that means. According to the Magellans, the First Servant's imminent ascension will usher in a new era for their planet, and allows them to continue to live the way they do, complete with luxury floating cities and highly advanced medicine. Given the constant googly eyes she and Pike make at each other whenever they're in the same room, it's clear he's not super interested in what any of this really involves on a larger cultural scale. It's amazing it takes the two until the episode's midpoint to hook up. After all, Starfleet captain falling for a pretty, if slightly manipulative alien lady, it's a common enough tale in the Star Trek universe. The addition of pre-existing love connection between them makes this a little sweeter and generally less uncomfortable than some of the original series relationships we see Kirk engage in. Yet, Alora's presence isn't really about the romantic relationship, however you choose to define it, or about simply providing a reason for Anson Mount to take his shirt off. It's actually another surprisingly powerful window into Pike's emotional journey and the weight of the secrets he carries. The bulk of the episode involves a complicated plot in which the Enterprise crew is charged with helping keep the First Servant alive until his ascension day. And though the episode drags out some of its more obvious revelations, of course, it wasn't actually strangers trying to kidnap him, and Alora was lying about something. The twisty plot is full of tension and genuine stakes. I'm sure no one was surprised when it turns out that the Enterprise didn't really accidentally kill a child, but I also doubt anyone expected that world turn around and sacrifice the boy almost immediately anyway, as the First Servant's body is literally turned into the battery which powers the bulk of the technology. To be fair, this is pretty grim storytelling for a Star Trek series, but perhaps necessary reality check after this first run of Strange New Worlds episodes, which generally involved happy endings, daring escapes, and hijinks all around. Not every story can end well, and not every alien race will be good, at least not in the way that we understand the concept. The fact that Pike, who so desperately wants to do something to help upend a civilization that literally powers itself with the lives of children, has no jurisdiction to do anything at all, is frustrating in a way that feels almost painfully realistic. Perhaps Pike's constant desire to tell all and sundry about his destiny of suffering and physical agony reflects his need to believe in the possibility of changing it. If he tells enough people about the future he saw, it will force that future to change somehow. Or if he tells the right person, he'll find the one that can fix it. But the fact that the first non-Starfleet affiliated person he tells turns out to be the leader of a culture that powers its own comfort through child sacrifice basically affirms why Pike, perhaps the brightest, most empathetic figure in the Star Trek canon at the moment, is never going to turn away from the future he saw on Boreth, no matter how much some of us might wish he would. I'm actually gonna, this is actually surprising, but I'm gonna rate it 5 out of 5. Let us know in the comments section below, what did you think about this episode? And of course, follow us on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook. Just search Cinema Gold Show. And as always, you can support the show by buying us a coffee at buymeacoffee.com/cinemagold. Your support helps the channel grow, upgrade our equipment, bring in new hosts, pay them, and create new shows, and eventually take the show on the road. We would love to broadcast from D23, Comic-Con, New York Comic-Con, and with your support, we can make that happen. As always, thank you so much for watching and listening, and we will see you next time.